The swing creaked under me as I pumped my legs, trying to reach higher, the kind of height that made a 5-year-old feel invincible. Then a hand slammed into my back. Hard. I tumbled forward, knees scraping against the packed dirt of the playground at Oakwood Elementary in suburban Chicago. Pain shot through my leg, and tears blurred everything. "Get off my swing," a voice snapped above me. I looked up. Brooke Reynolds towered over me at 7 years old, her dark ponytail swinging like a whip, arms crossed, eyes narrowed into slits of pure disdain. The playground monitor hurried over, but Brooke had already turned away with an innocent shrug, as if the world had simply tilted on its own. That was the first time Brooke made me cry, but it wouldn't be the last. My name is Ava Thompson. At 5. My life was small and fragile.
Mom.
Sarah. Worked double shifts waitressing at a diner by day and cleaning downtown offices by night. We shared a cramped studio apartment in a tired part of the city where the radiator clanked all winter and the walls were thin enough to hear every neighbor's argument. I slept on a pull-out couch that smelled faintly of old coffee. Dinners were often instant noodles or peanut butter sandwiches. Mom loved me fiercely in the exhausted way single parents do. She'd collapse beside me after midnight stories, her voice soft even when her eyes were heavy. But she never had the energy to fight bigger battles. I didn't tell her about Brooke. What could she do? Show up at school and scold a second grader? So I endured. Brooke knocked my lunch tray flying in the cafeteria, sending mashed potatoes sliding across the floor while kids laughed. She whispered that my secondhand clothes from thrift stores made me smell funny, turning playmates away. In class, she'd smirk when I stumbled over simple addition, her laugh sharp enough to cut. I didn't understand the hatred. I'd never spoken to her before that swing. Everything shifted one spring afternoon when I pushed open our apartment door and found Mom on the couch, tears streaming down her face, not the tired kind, but glowing, hopeful tears.
Ava.
Baby. Something amazing happened. She pulled me close.
She met someone kind.
Stable. With a good job as a mid-level accountant. His name was David Reynolds. He had 2 daughters close to my age. "You'll have sisters?" "Honey." Real sisters. The word sisters lit something magical inside me. I pictured shared secrets, bike rides, someone to defend me. I didn't connect Reynolds to Brooke yet. A week later, Mom drove us to David's house in a quiet, tree-lined neighborhood of 2-story colonials with neat lawns. The moment I stepped inside, my stomach dropped. Brooke sat at the kitchen table, staring daggers, her expression pure venom. Beside her was Madison, 9 years old, reserved and watchful. Later I pieced together the backstory from hushed adult conversations. David and his ex-wife Elena had fought for years. Long hours at the office, constant arguments, growing resentment. David met Mom at the diner. Coffee turned to dinners. Then more. Elena discovered the affair. The divorce was bitter. Elena moved to Arizona with her sister, leaving David full custody of the girls. Madison and Brooke were devastated, blaming the new woman and her daughter for shattering their family. When we moved into David's 4-bedroom home a month later, the air thickened with resentment. I had my own room for the first time, walls painted soft blue, but loneliness pressed heavier than ever. Brooke refused to acknowledge me except with cruel jabs. "Your mom's a homewrecker," she'd hiss in the hallway at school. "My real mom left because of you people." Madison mostly ignored me, retreating into books. David tried awkward kindness, patting my head, asking about school, but he felt like a polite stranger. Mom focused entirely on keeping David happy, smoothing edges, terrified of losing this second chance. The first months blurred into isolation. At school, Brooke's campaign intensified. She'd accidentally bump me during recess, spread rumors about my family. I cried in bathroom stalls, wondering why I deserved this. At home, dinners were tense silences punctuated by forced small talk. I felt like an intruder in a house full of ghosts from a life I hadn't broken. Then, around 4 months in, something cracked open. On the playground after school, a bigger fifth grader named Tyler yanked my ponytail, calling me names. I tried shrinking away when Brooke appeared like a storm. "Leave her alone," she demanded, voice low and dangerous. Tyler sneered.
Why?
"You gonna stop me?" Brooke shoved him hard. He stumbled. She stepped between us, fierce and unyielding. "She's family now. Touch her again, and everyone finds out you steal lunch money."
I've seen you.
Tyler backed off. I stared,
Stunned.
"Why did you do that?" Brooke looked away. "Uncomfortable. You live in my house. Makes you family." "Sort of." No hugs. No warmth, just a reluctant acknowledgement. But it changed everything. Brooke stopped the open bullying. Instead, she became my silent shield. Kids learned fast. Mess with Ava Thompson and Brooke Reynolds would rain hell. At home, small bridges formed. Brooke let me sit on the couch edge during cartoons sometimes. Madison helped with math homework once or twice. David asked about my day at dinner. It wasn't warmth, but it functioned. For a girl who'd known poverty and exhaustion, even this distant structure felt like fragile grace. Life settled into uneasy routines: school, chores, holidays where we smiled for photos, but the undercurrent of "not quite mine" lingered. I was the add-on, the half-sister who arrived with a new wife. The years rolled forward with the slow rhythm of childhood routines in that Chicago suburb. Summers meant backyard barbecues where David grilled burgers and Mom tried too hard with potato salad recipes clipped from magazines. Birthdays brought store-bought cakes and awkward group singing. Christmas mornings featured matching pajamas for the girls, Madison and Brooke choosing theirs together while I received whatever was left, always feeling like an afterthought. Yet there were moments that pierced the distance. When I turned 7, Mom and David married in a small backyard ceremony. I scattered flower petals down the aisle in a white dress that itched at the seams. Madison and Brooke stood as junior bridesmaids, their faces polite masks. In the photos we looked picture-perfect, blended, smiling faces, coordinated outfits. But I remember the hollow feeling, like playing a role in someone else's happy ending. Brooke surprised me most. She never became openly affectionate, but protection manifested in quiet ways. She taught me to ride a bike on the quiet cul-de-sac, steadying the seat until I wobbled forward on my own, shouting, "Keep pedaling, kid." One winter, when I was 8 and feverish with flu, she brought chicken soup from the kitchen and sat on the edge of my bed while I watched old cartoons, murmuring, "You'll be okay. For a little sister." Little sister. The words lodged in my chest like a lifeline. I replayed them at night, clinging to the possibility that maybe, somehow, I belonged. School became survivable. Brooke's reputation kept bullies at bay. I made a few tentative friends, joined art club where I discovered a love for drawing, sketching families that looked whole on paper. Mom seemed happier, less exhausted. Those shadows of her old stress lingered in late-night worries about bills. David worked longer hours, but brought home small gifts, sometimes a new sketchpad for me, hair clips for the girls. Yet the undercurrent never vanished. Madison and Brooke shared private jokes from before us, memories of vacations with Elena, inside references that excluded me. I was always the observer, watching their bond from across the room. I told myself it was enough. Then, when I was 10, the first real fracture hit. Elena got sick, breast cancer, aggressive and already spread. Madison and Brooke flew to Arizona to visit. They returned changed, hollow-eyed, silent, carrying grief too heavy for children. Elena died 3 months later. The funeral was in Arizona. David flew out with them. Mom and I stayed behind. It's not appropriate, Mom explained gently.
Too much history.
They need space to grieve. I understood logically, but it burned. I wanted to comfort them, to be there as family. But I wasn't, not in the ways that counted. When they returned, the house grew heavier. Madison withdrew into her room for weeks, blasting music behind locked doors. Brooke threw herself into soccer and studies, coming home sweaty and silent. David wandered like a shadow, unsure how to reach his daughters. Mom tried bridging the gap with meals and kind words, but she was the replacement, the reminder of loss. I became invisible, tiptoeing around grief I couldn't touch. The family never fully mended. Distance widened. Madison grew quieter, more academic. Brooke channeled pain into fierce independence. David buried himself in work. When I was 12, new cracks appeared. David started forgetting things, appointments, conversations, where he parked the car. He'd mix up names, calling me Madison or Brooke Elena. Mom took him to specialists. Tests revealed early onset Alzheimer's at 52. It moved fast. Within months, the sharp, stressed man softened into someone gentler but confused, untethered from time. I didn't grasp the permanence at 13. Sick people recovered. I believed. One evening David called me to their bedroom. "Ava," he said clearly for a moment, "will you miss me when I'm gone?"
The question chilled me.
I mumbled something reassuring and fled. Next morning, Mom's sobs woke the house. David had passed peacefully in sleep. Grief hit differently for me, abstract, respectful but distant. David had been kind but never fully father. I never called him Dad. For Madison and Brooke, it shattered them completely. Losing their mother 3 years prior. Now their father.
I assumed they'd stay.
This was home. Mom was stepmom. I was their sister. 2 weeks after the funeral, they sat me in the living room. Madison, now 18 and legal adult, spoke first.
"Ava,
"We need to talk." Brooke, 16, wouldn't meet my eyes. "We're moving to Arizona with Aunt Lydia, Elena's sister." Shock rooted me.
"Why?"
"This is your home." "We can't stay," Brooke said softly. "The house is full of memories. And your mom." The implication hung. They saw Sarah as unstable after David's death, forgetting groceries. Days in bed. Snapping then apologizing. They chose survival. "But you're my sisters," I pleaded, voice cracking. Brooke looked away. "We have to go." "I'm sorry." I helped pack their boxes in silence. Stood in the driveway as their aunt's car pulled away. The taillights faded, leaving me and Mom in the echoing house. The house felt cavernous after they left. Echoes of old arguments, laughter, and footsteps lingered like ghosts. Mom struggled visibly in subtle ways, staring into space for hours. Forgetting meals. Irritability followed by tearful apologies. She wasn't neglectful or cruel, but absent in spirit, drowning in her own loss and guilt. At 13, I was too young to parent her. I cooked simple dinners, kept the house tidy, went to school pretending normalcy.
Inside,
abandonment carved deep. I had lost the only father figure. Then the sisters who had become protectors despite everything. Nights brought nightmares of empty swings and vanishing cars. School felt lonelier without Brooke's shield, though their reputation lingered enough to deter most trouble. I turned to drawing more seriously, sketching imagined family scenes where everyone stayed, where belonging wasn't questioned. Teachers noticed talent. I won a district art contest at 14. Small victories. But the hollow space where sisters should be grew. I watched them from afar as years passed. Social media became my window. Brooke's posts showed nursing school milestones. Then her first ER shifts and scrubs. Exhausted but proud smiles. Madison's updates tracked law school. Then corporate attorney life in tailored suits. Holiday photos with Aunt Lydia and cousins in Arizona depicted warm gatherings I wasn't part of. Christmas cards arrived occasionally brief. Hope you're doing well. M and B. Occasional likes on my graduation or birthday posts. But no messages. No visits. The gap solidified. I built my own life. High school graduation. Community college for graphic design. Landing a junior designer job at a small Chicago agency by 22. Friendships formed through work and art classes. I dated casually, nice guys who never quite filled the family void. When people asked about siblings, I'd hesitate. I have 2 stepsisters,
But
we're not close. Or simply, only child. Sort of. The ache persisted. 27 now. Living in a modest apartment near downtown. Successful on paper, but carrying that outsider echo. Then the message arrived on Facebook from Brooke.
Ava.
I know it's been forever, and I have no right to ask. But I'll be in Chicago next weekend for a nursing conference.
Coffee?
There are things I need to say. Things I should have said long ago.
B.
I stared at it for days. Heart racing through memories. The shove. The protection. The driveway goodbye. Healing or reopening wounds. Finally, I replied. Saturday. 2 p.m. at the cafe on Hawthorne. She answered instantly. I'll be there. Saturday arrived heavy with nerves. I entered the cozy coffee shop. Heart hammering. Brooke sat at a corner table. 29 now. Ponytail still practical. Face tired but strong. The same fierce girl from the playground. She stood, and we hugged awkwardly. Bodies remembering old distances. Small talk first, her ER stories, my design projects, Chicago weather. Then Brooke set down her mug. Eyes locking mine.
Ava.
I need to apologize.
Truly.
I've thought about you every day since we left. Silence stretched. I listened as she unpacked the past. They told themselves leaving was necessary, grieving parents without the house's reminders. Sarah's instability post-David. True, but incomplete. At 18 and 16, freshly orphaned, they couldn't parent a 13-year-old. They fled the entire life we represented. You didn't leave just Mom, I whispered. You left me. Brooke's voice cracked. We left you because you were tied to it all. You were 5 when your mom met our dad. Innocent. We punished you for our anger. At Elena leaving. David cheating. Everything. I bullied you. Then protected you halfway. But never made you feel you belonged. Never said I loved you. Tears welled. I always felt like watching your family through glass. I know.
I'm sorry.
You were my sister. I was too broken to admit it. Dad's death. Leaving you in that driveway at 13. It's haunted me 15 years. I convinced myself you'd moved on. I never stopped thinking of you too. Stalking your posts. Wishing I was there. Brooke reached for my hand. I have a son now. Leo. 5, the age you were moving in. Every time I look at him, I see tiny you. Scared in our house. Treated like an outsider. Shame eats me. I can't carry it anymore. If you'll let me, I want to be your sister now. Why now? Because of Leo. I realized I couldn't repeat the cycle. We cried together in that cafe. 2 women reclaiming lost years. The conversations stretched hours. Brooke explained Madison felt the same guilt but couldn't join due to work in New York. She thinks about you constantly. We talk about failing you. You didn't fail me entirely, I said. You protected me when it counted, but never fully included you. We were all kids surviving. We exchanged numbers, promising more. 6 months later, I flew to Arizona for a tentative visit. The airport reunion was stiff at first, hugs too brief. Conversation polite. 15 years don't dissolve overnight. We talked late into nights on Brooke's back porch. Wine loosening truths. About David's illness. Elena's death. Sarah's struggles. The blended family's fractures. Madison apologized deeply. As oldest, I should have ensured you felt belonging. We were survivors. I reminded them. We flipped through old photo albums, Christmases with mismatched smiles, birthdays, ordinary Tuesdays. In some frames, we looked like family. Maybe we were. Imperfectly. Brooke introduced Leo. This is Aunt Ava, my little sister. Leo's eyes widened. Little sister? I want one too. Laughter broke tension. That night, arms linked, we sat talking until dawn about building anew. Back in Chicago, contact grew. Texts with Brooke about daily life. Video calls with Madison every few weeks. They visited for my 28th birthday. Hurt remained, unfillable gaps from lost years, but effort showed. 2 years since that coffee shop. Our bond strengthens gradually. Brooke and I text often about Leo's antics or work stresses. Madison joins video calls, sharing legal victories or family updates. I visited Arizona 3 times. They've come to Chicago twice more. Last month, Brooke posted our group photo from my latest visit. Caption: My sisters. Better late than never. I commented, love you both. She replied, love you too, little sister. At 29, I no longer feel entirely outsider. Family isn't flawless harmony or mistake-free. It's returning after silence, saying sorry, choosing each other despite years and pain. Brooke bullied mercilessly at 5, protected fiercely, abandoned at 13, then returned calling me little sister. That's the family I always craved. What does it mean to belong when blood and choice collide? Can forgiveness rewrite old absences? The questions linger. But so does hope in showing up now.